You're listening to Ed Talks. Ed Talks, where anything is in the realm of possibility. Hi guys, welcome back to Ed Talks, and thank you for taking the time out to listen to me today. I know it's been a few weeks since you heard from me last, and I do apologize. Just kind of working on revamping a little bit. I want to go to a bi-weekly schedule. I just seem like I'm rushing the content by trying to put something out every week. So I'm going to start moving to a bi-weekly show. Maybe not even bi-weekly, just maybe as topics come to light that I want to speak about. Because I felt like I was kind of trying to come up with stuff instead of letting it happen organically. So with that being said, I want to have less or more better content, but less often, instead of having every week and maybe not having the best content that I can give. So with that being said, I'm still working on and revamping. I want to get some special guest hosts in here. I'm still looking for a permanent co-host. That's in the works as well. So today it's going to be kind of a short show. We're going to talk about the black market, the black budget that the government has, and a real story behind Edward Snowden, and what really happened and what he revealed about secret agencies within the government. Well, I'm also starting a new segment called "You Can't Do That Naked." It's a little funny segment. And also, I'm going to get into a little thing that I was talking about with somebody a couple days ago about why I don't attend church anymore. That doesn't mean that I'm not religious, and I mean that I'm not Christian or anything like that, because I still consider myself a Christian. I just don't attend church anymore, and I'm going to tell you why. And that is next. All right, welcome back to Ed Talks. This is Eddie Ortega, your host. And I wanted to get into a little bit about a topic I was talking to with some friends a couple of days ago about why I don't attend church anymore. You know, there's a lot of people out there that say that you're not supposed to mix religion and politics together. And now I know why. Well, you know, this happened when Obama was president, and then going into the whole Trump election process. So, you know, the church I went to, we started off the morning with a Bible study, and then we went on to, the service after the Bible study. So, you know, we would get there a little early, 10, 15 minutes early, before the Bible study started. And the thing is that, you know, there was a lot of older people there, and they would always talk politics. And if you guys aren't aware, Christians for the most part, always vote Republican because Republicans tend to have a more conservative policy. So, with that being said, during Obama's presidency, and I vote Democrat because I feel like I'm a little more open-minded to be restricted under a more conservative, under more conservative policies. So that's why I vote Democrat, because, you know, like I said, I have a little more, little more open-minded, and I'm kind of middle of the road. Some issues I'm a little conservative on, and some issues I'm liberal on. So I feel like Republicans and those who vote Republican tend to lean more onto the conservative side, which is why Christians vote Republican. Fine, you have values, I understand. But I would go in and they would be shit talking Obama about how much they disliked him, this, that, and the other thing. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, everybody has their preference. But how can you call yourself a Christian and you're over here talking negatively about somebody, about your dislike of somebody, because they're a little more liberal than what you agree to? You know, bashing him on a personal level. And to me, you know, that's far from what a Christian would do. You know, you're supposed to have love for each other under, you know, under Christianity. You're supposed to love everybody regardless of their sins, their affiliations, their sexual orientation, race, whatever. And this is why with the whole like homosexual thing, I don't think sexuality is natural. However, I'm not going to judge somebody. I've had friends that were gay. You know, we set that boundary. You know, I'm not gay. We're not gonna, you know, just don't cross that line, and we'll be good. You know, but I'm not gonna sit there and judge their actions, because I don't have the power to judge them. That's between them and God. So when some of these Christians are condemning these people, talking down on these people, it kind of angers me, because Jesus wouldn't do that. Jesus loves and God loves everybody despite what their sins are. And it's argued that maybe, you know, homosexuality isn't even covered in the Bible. While there are a couple verses out there, you know, they say it vaguely, like, you know, no man shall live with another man. But the thing, like I said, he's not going to throw homosexuals in hell. He doesn't hate homosexuals. So why would Christians pass judgment on Christians, on homosexuals, or anybody else for that matter? You're sitting there, you study the Bible, you know that Jesus loved everybody despite who they are, despite what their sins are. No sin is greater than the other sin. So, you know, if we argue to the point where homosexuality is a sin, you're also committing a sin by judging these people. And all sins are judged equally. So whether someone is racist or someone's a murderer, that sin is equal in God's eyes. So what I'm trying to say is you're supposed to love everybody and not pass judgment on them. You know, and I'm not trying to get biblical here, and I'm not trying to preach, because this is not my intention. I just kind of veered off a little bit because my real thing is I'm talking about why I don't attend church anymore. So we get into the whole Donald Trump election. And Christians are supporting Donald Trump, are voting for Donald Trump because he's Republican. And like I was saying before, because Republicans have a conservative nature. However, as a Christian, how can you support somebody that has poor to no moral values? The way he talks to people, the way he judges people, the way he treats the less fortunate, the way he treats, he's treated other small business owners poorly. He degrades women, but you as Christians want to vote for this guy who clearly doesn't represent what the morals that a Christian person would represent, would have. So, I don't know. Like I said, I stopped going to church because I was sick of hearing all the negativity. You go to church and you hear about God and Jesus and how Jesus is, and you think because you go to church that you're so Christian. Everybody's a sinner. Am I not in the book like I should be? Yeah, but I believe a lot of people aren't, and everybody sins. Everybody's not who they can be. It's hard in this world. There's so much temptation, but the thing is that the people that are judgmental and consider themselves Christian is hypocritical. It's ungodlike. It's definitely not how Jesus would operate. You're learning the ways of Jesus as a Christian, yet as soon as you leave Sunday morning, you're right back at it. You're probably judging people as you're driving down the street. So and I'm not saying all Christians are like that, but a good portion that I know are like that, and that's why I stopped attending church. So what's your guys' opinion about it? You can follow me on Facebook at Ed Talks, and let me know what you think by posting a comment using the hashtag Christianity. All right, so pretty soon we're going to be talking about the real story about Edward Snowden, and what I mean by the real story is not what the media reported, because even though I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that Trump does or says, he kind of hit the nail on the head with the whole fake news stuff, because it's all propaganda. It's all about what they want you to know and want you to see, because people have the misconception that because it's on TV, that must be real. If it's on the news, it must be real. CNN said it must be real. And that's not always the case. Sometimes they're trying to pass an agenda, lead you into believing a certain way. In other words, they brainwashing you. So I'm going to get into the real story about that and what Edward Snowden revealed about our government that had the government in such an uproar. But next, how about a new segment that I have coming out called You Can't Do That Naked? And that's next.
www.emotionalbeats.com.
Alright guys, this is Things You Can't Do Naked, a new quick segment that we're going to be doing every podcast. And what we basically do is take the best funny articles about naked people. So this is called The Naked Man Breaks Into a Pizza Place, Shows His Own Sausage and Meatballs, but the thief didn't take any pizza or any dough. He's a real pizza work. Baltimore County Police are looking for a man who broke into a pizza restaurant last Thursday morning while naked. It didn't start that way. The robber was clothed when he entered sliced pizza through an air vent, but he stripped naked when he got inside, according to CBS Baltimore. Surveillance video caught the burglar with his pants down, off actually, and yes, the suspect's own sausage and meatballs were clearly visible. The naked thief managed to damage a vent hood and several registers, but he didn't eat any pizza and he didn't take any dough. Just a water bottle from the store, according to ABC 2 News. Yanni Rizas, who owns Sliced Pizza in Townsend, admits he did a double take when he came to the restaurant a couple hours after the break-in. Seeing it was weird, knowing that somebody was naked running around the store, Rizas told the local station. Everybody's mouths just dropped, and we couldn't help but laugh because that's something that doesn't happen every day. It's funny to see that. And then the guy put a tweet out that said, pizza shop management offering lifetime pizza reward for info leading to arrest and conviction of a naked robber. Wow. This guy just had to have been crazy because if you're naked, how are you supposed to take anything with no pockets? Interesting. That was Things You Can't Do Naked. We'll be back momentarily. Alright guys, we're about to get into the black budget. That's right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
Y'all ready for this?
Okay guys, welcome back to Ed Talks. If you haven't checked out my website, you can go check it out at edtalks.live, where you can get the latest episodes. Alright, so in the next upcoming weeks, we're going to be talking about some of the conspiracy theories going on and whether or not they may or not be true and what the evidence shows. So, first we're going to be talking about this week is the black budget in the government. Now, if you remember Edward Snowden, he was convicted of basically treason because he leaked classified information from the National Security Agency. He used to work for the CIA, and so the thing is that you only hear about what the government really wants you to know. So, they fed the media and led you to believe that this guy was committing treason, blah, 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 blah. But what did he leak and why was the government mad? Was it because they were hiding something and he was revealing it? Well, yes. Now, what Edward Snowden leaked was the very first documentation that proves that there's secret black budget operations going on in the government. Some people don't believe that there's a black budget program in existence, but the fact of the matter is that the National Security Agency, for instance, was founded in 1952, but its existence was hidden until the mid-1960s, and then even more secretive is the National Reconnaissance Office, which was founded in 1960. It remained completely secret after about 30 years. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the Special Access Programs, or SAPs. But so let's get into it here. There's a 1997 U.S. Senate report that described these programs as so sensitive that they're exempt from standard reporting requirements to the Congress. So basically, what they mean there is basically these programs can exist and they aren't required to answer to anybody. They don't have to report to the Congress, and in most cases, the president don't even know about what's going on. But here, according to the Washington Post, the black budget documents reveal a staggering $52.6 billion had been set aside for operations in the fiscal year 2013. And although it's great to have this type of documentation in the public domain to prove the existence of these black budget programs, the numbers seem to be off. And at least according to some statements made by several prominent people within the defense sector, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that these programs are not using billions of dollars, but rather trillions of dollars, all of which are unaccounted for. And National Defense Minister, Canadian former Minister of National Defense Paul Hellyer in 2008 said this: "It is ironic that the U.S. would begin a devastating war, allegedly in search of weapons of mass destruction, when the most worrisome developments in this field are occurring in your own backyard. It is ironic that the U.S. should be fighting monstrously expensive wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, allegedly to bring democracy to these countries, when itself can no longer claim to be called a democracy. When trillions, and I mean thousands of billions of dollars, have been spent on projects about which both the Congress and the Commander-in-Chief have been kept deliberately in the dark." So, like I said, the presidents are not even aware of what's going on, and these dollars are unaccounted for. So there's no account, there's no documentation, there's no paper trail that shows that these people are getting all this money. So that just, imagine, man, there's trillions of dollars going into these secret government agencies. They're just funneling money like it's going out of style. You got people in America that are hungry, can't afford their rent, their bills. Kids are starving. People can't afford health care. But yet they have trillions and trillions of dollars going into these programs that are secret, and they're secret, and there's no documentation of this money, so it's not like, I just don't understand how trillions of dollars can be funneled into these programs and nobody notices trillions of dollars coming up missing. But it's the government. They feel like they can do whatever the hell they want. Just imagine so this is all, a scam, in my opinion, with the whole insurance and having to get insurance. You got other countries out here that can afford to give their people universal health care. Some of them, like Canada, have a high tax rate, but they're still able to do it. You got, France. They can do it. They got an excellent healthcare system. But, they could take probably half of the money that they're funneling into these damn programs that quote unquote don't exist, and everybody could have health care. But no, they'd rather fund these programs. Okay, so we're talking about large amounts of unaccounted for money going into programs we know nothing about. There have been several congressional inquiries that have noted billions and even trillions of dollars going missing from the Federal Reserve System. And on July 16, 2001, in front of the House Appropriations Committee, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld stated that the financial systems of the department are so snarled up that we can't account for some $2.6 trillion in transactions that exist, if that's believable. $2.6 trillion just missing. But hey, you know what? Who cares, right? Nobody's really getting off their ass to do anything, but what are they going to do? I mean, you're going after programs that don't exist on paper. And if you do go after them, these guys have trillions of dollars. I'm sure you'll be snuffed out real quick and nobody will even know you're gone. And if they probably make it look like you killed yourself or something. So, but anyway, it says we don't really hear about black budget programs or about people who have actually looked into them. However, the topic was discussed in 2010 by Washington Post journalists Dana Priest and William Arkin. Their investigation lasted approximately 2 years and concluded that America's classified world has become so large, so unwieldy, and so secretive that no one knows how much money it costs, how many people it employs, how many programs exist within it, or exactly how many agencies do the same work. So basically, what it sounds like, man, is you got these secret agencies that are pumping money into it. These people that work, I'll use that term loosely, they work for these secret agencies. I mean, who's to say that these guys are just getting paid to do nothing? I mean, I don't know. But another person was aviation journalist Bill Sweetman. He estimated that approximately 150 special access programs existed within the Pentagon that weren't even acknowledged. These programs are known to even the highest members of the government, are unknown. Okay. These programs are unknown to even the highest members of the government and the highest ranking officials in the military. Sweetman determined that most of these programs were dominated by private contractors and said that he had no idea how these programs were funded. Former President Dwight Eisenhower, who was also a five-star general, also warned us about secrecy and the acquisition of unwarranted influence within the Department of Defense in his farewell speech. He says, "In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes." Oh, man. So even back then, in Dwight Eisenhower's days, there was secrecy going on. I I just don't understand how these exist. Maybe I'm missing something here. How are they able to operate in secrecy where these people that are higher up in the government don't even know about them, don't even know where the money's going, don't know who's employed by them? That sounds crazy to me. I mean, essentially, you could have a secret agency being funded by the National Reserve or whoever. I mean, I'm not saying that the National Reserve is funding these people, but somebody that has their hands in the Federal Reserve is able to access these funds and funnel them into these secret programs. And who's to say that there's not a secret program out there that basically would be out and assassinate the president? I mean, and then, blame somebody else for it. So, just if you're listening to this, man, your mind has to be cooking, man, about all the possibilities of what could be going on in our government. They're giving out $2.6 trillion, and that's like enough almost to pay off not probably pay it off completely, but start paying off some of this national debt. If I was a country like China where, we owe tons of money and I found out that they're funneling these trillions of dollars, I'm going to be like, yo, motherfucker. Oops, excuse my language, but I'm going to be like, hey, yo, man, where's my fucking money at? You can put all this money into these secret programs, but you can't pay my money back? But anyhow, Dwight Eisenhower also warned us about the influence of the military-industrial complex. After Eisenhower, the next and only other president to blow the whistle on secrecy beyond the government was John F. Kennedy. And I just said something about secret agencies assassinating the president and blame it on something else. Well, John F. Kennedy here blows the whistle on secrecy beyond the government. He also referred to the military-industrial complex in one of his most famous speeches. He says, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. And there is very grave danger that an unannounced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. Wow. Again, that's coming from John F. Kennedy blowing the whistle on this thing, and guess what? He got shot in the head. So again, that shows that again, even if they did know about it, would they say something about it? They might suffer the same fate as John F. Kennedy. It says also that The amount that the U.S. set aside for sensitive operations each year cannot be disclosed to anyone outside of the intelligence community. But we are in an age where keeping sensitive information hidden is becoming increasingly difficult, and although there is abundance of blatant information for the world to wake up to, that which is still kept under tight wraps has also become more transparent. Many phenomena previously labeled as merely conspiracy theories are now surfacing as true and verifiable day after day. Could some of these black budget programs be dealing with the UFOs? There's a large amount of evidence to suggest that they do, and possibly even extraterrestrials too. Documents from the NSA prove that UFOs and extraterrestrials are of high interest to the agency. In fact, I would like to mention that there is an overwhelming amount of evidence to suggest that these black market programs deal with matters beyond our world. Gary McKinnon also shed light on this fact and has thousands of previously classified documents and statements from high-level government military personnel. The truth cannot stay hidden forever. So, while we're talking about that, let's talk about the worlds within worlds. And I'm actually going to be reading this from an article, but this is an excerpt from the book of AD After Disclosure, and this was written by Richard Dolan and Bryce Zabel, and it reads, "By now, the classified world has moved far beyond the reach of the public world and far beyond its power and capabilities. Consider the story of a former NSA scientist who spoke with the authors. According to this individual, the NSA was operating computers during the mid-1960s with a processing clock speed of roughly 650 megahertz. To put that in perspective, it took 35 years for personal computers in the consumer market to reach that speed." So that's 1995. So by the time we got personal computers in 1995, NSA computers were already operating at that speed. So today, in 2017, can see how fast your computers are, what your computers can do. It's amazing. But if we're still 35 years behind of what the NSA has in their possession, just imagine what they have at their disposal. To continue with this excerpt, indeed, in 1965, there were no personal computers at all. Immediately, the near-fatal Apollo 13 mission in 1971 comes to mind, with its reliance on slide rulers by mission specialists to guide the damaged NASA spacecraft back to Earth. When presented with this image, the NSA scientists shrugged and stated that secret computational capabilities were too important to share with NASA. So in computing, the National Security Agency was amazing 35 years ahead of the rest of the world. This leads one to wonder what its computational powers are today. I said the exact same thing just now. To continue with the excerpt, another example was the U.S. airstrike against Libya in 1986. The raid employed F-111 fighter aircraft. Left out of the mission, however, was the F-117A Nighthawk, better known as the stealth fighter. It has been operational since 1983, but was still classified in 1986. In a form of logic both perverse and rational, the F-117A was still the F-17A was so radically advanced that keeping it secret was more important than using it for this military mission. So, their capabilities, they're keeping it to themselves, basically. is what this is telling me. They have ways that they can use it to help improve, help save lives, help do things in the world. But no, they'd rather keep it to themselves. They don't want to give that kind of power up. They want to make sure they have the power. So they might be farther now than 35 years ahead, but if they're even remotely close to being 35 years ahead, it's scary to imagine what they have. Continuing on here. It says, given the mixture of a treasure chest of government money and private connections, the likelihood exists that 6 decades later, there is a secret group that possesses technology that is vastly superior to that of the mainstream world, the ability to explore areas of our world and surroundings presently unavailable to the rest of us, scientific and cosmological understandings that give them greater insights into the nature of our world, a significant built off-the-grid infrastructure, partially underground, that affords them a high degree of secrecy and independence of action. This might well qualify them as a separate civilization, one that has broken away from our own, in effect a breakaway civilization. Still interacting with our own, its members probably move back and forth between the official reality of what we are supposed to believe and the other reality which encompasses new truths and challenges. Now that, my friends, is interesting. What are your thoughts on this? Secret societies, things that come into mind are, the New World Order. Rumors come from something. People don't make stuff up. I mean, could they snowball into something that doesn't exist entirely? Sure. But there's always been talks of secret societies, and Mr. Snowden and along with Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy have leaked a little information and a little insight into what's really going on. Scary if you think about it, unless, of course, you're in one of these secret societies. Till next time.